What's going on, everybody? Patrick Auger, Matthew Wells here for the Body Lock. And today we're talking about Paulo Costa may have been drunk when he fought Israel Adesanya. According to an interview that Costa did on a video posted to his YouTube channel, he stated that, and I quote, "I was kind of drunk when I fought, maybe on hangover." In Portuguese, this is a rough translation, by the way. Keep in mind the fight happens at 9 a.m. We have to wake up at 5 to get ready, stretch and wrap hand. So it was my mistake. I don't blame anyone else. But in order to try and sleep, because I had to sleep since I was awake for 24 hours, I had wine, too much wine, a bottle to try and black out. So it certainly sounds like Paulo Costa is saying that he was hungover in the fight, and that may have contributed to his performance against Adesanya. Matt, what do you think about this?
Big if true, right? Big if true. It's wild to say this 5 months after the fact, when you pretty much have never really accepted the loss. Like, he's always like, there's always something that's kind of come up from him. This being it's wild because it's kind of believable in a sense too, considering the fact that, yeah, you had to go all the way over there and like your time frame is jacked up. We saw fighters talking about that all the time, whether it be on the lead ups to like Embedded or in their post fight, talking about getting adjusted. Fighters in their post fight speeches talking about they just can't wait to get off the island and just go back home and just get back to normal life because things were just so different being cooped up. You know, there's a lot of things going on. So it's a believable story. It is, but it's one of those stories that you don't tell until you're retired, until the rest of your career has played out. You know, that's when this story would hit home and really resonate a lot differently, because now it just sounds like excuses. You tell this story 5-10 years from now, that sounds amazing. Like, that's a story that somebody would love. A reporter would love to dig that out of you, when your career is said and done. But to say it now, it sounds like excuses. And I'm not saying he's lying or anything, but I'm just saying that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that. It'd be a great story 5 years from now. Hey, heck, even 3 years from now, right? Or that would be a hilarious, phenomenal story to know. Wait, you went to go fight someone that is on the path to becoming the greatest middleweight of all time, and you fought him hungover after drinking a bottle of wine. Interesting. So, I mean, it definitely sounds like excuses, and this doesn't help his case at all. If anything, it just hurts his case for a rematch. If you I understand, as you mentioned, it's got to be hard to make that adjustment to, do different time zones, to live in that bubble. That cannot be easy. I also saw several fighters mention when this story first came out that a couple of them had drank alcohol after a weight cut, whether it was a canceled fight or something else, and it obviously affected them much harder. They were much more lightweights, is what they said, in terms of 1 or 2 drinks had a bigger effect than they would have if they hadn't been cutting weight. So I can completely believe that Costa was hungover if he did do this. But to say this, to come out publicly and say, like, yes, I had too much wine, it affected me, just makes you look that much worse in terms of your loss, right? Because it's like showing up to your final in college that you need to pass in order to graduate, and you've been partying all night and you're hungover. Like, you don't get that, just makes you look worse because you didn't actually study and you didn't do what you're supposed to do. So I don't understand the point of releasing this video at all. Why Matt, why do you think he released this video right now?
It's I don't know. I don't get the timing. I mean, maybe it's because Izzy's about to fight this week, and he's just like, you know what? Let me just throw my name back into the story that is this UFC week, UFC pay-per-view week with 3 title fights on there. How can I get my name back in there? Oh, let me drop the story about when I was drunk when I fought Izzy. It's it's wild because I watched the UFC countdown show, and of course that was a big part of it. From Izzy's perspective, rather. And nothing about the highlights that they showed, where they showed Costa just doing nothing but taunting Izzy the entire fight, said that he looked inebriated or seemed inebriated. He looked like he was all there. He just looked like he couldn't figure out Adesanya. And it's just one of those things, man. It's hard to believe, but it's also a story that does kind of make sense given the situation. And like you said, man, other fighters have kind of talked about doing similar things, but I don't recall any of them saying that they tried to get blackout drunk and drink an entire bottle before their fight. Much less hours, as he seems to have said here, just hours before the fight. Also, if he was that inebriated, I'm sure like one of the medical staff would have noticed this. I'm not sure if they would have, necessarily pulled the fight, but that would have been a concern. I think we would have also heard, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe they kept it under wraps. Maybe maybe one of the doctors, during their pre-fight checks saw something and he was just like, yeah, I'm good or whatever. And then, of course, the UFC, if they felt it was okay, they were just going to, let it go on since they're kind of self-regulating out there. So who knows the real story behind the scenes. I'm sure a lot of us are going to be asking questions from those that were out there to see if they have any indication of, truth to this story or anything like that. But like I said, man, I would have much rather heard this story 5-10 years from now down the road where somebody is just interviewing Costa and they're just asking him about his first title shot. Who knows? The guy can go on to be a champion in this division. And, when he's reminiscing on his career, he could drop that just randomly. Yeah, I was drunk when the first time I fought Izzy. And then the reporter would be like, what? And then you just go down that rabbit hole. So it's just, I don't know. It's just bad timing for me. I think it's, like I said, just to try to take spotlight off of Adesanya in his upcoming champ attempt here against Jan Blachowicz.
Certainly seems that way to me as well. Let us know in the comments what you think about this whole situation. Do you think Costa was actually hungover? Do you think if he wasn't, let's go here, suspend belief, say, yep, okay, we believe you 100% Costa, you drank too much. Let's say that didn't happen. Would it really have made a difference? I mean, let us know in the comments. And all I have to say on this one is, take some, I think, Benadryls on the USADA approved list. Take some melatonin, something, just there's other options. Don't drink a bottle of wine before you fight Israel Adesanya. I think that's the message. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say like, subscribe, all that.
That's okay. Jake can just put in that last part right there where we said it just now, if he really wants.